For the first time in a long, long time, the Pittsburgh Steelers are in the market for a new head coach. After firing longtime head coach Mike Tomlin, the team is now searching for a new coach to lead them to a new era. Pittsburgh has already interviewed a few notable names, and now they're set to interview a familiar face. Miami Dolphins defensive coordinator Anthony Weaver has a second interview scheduled with the Pittsburgh Steelers for Friday, per source. Diana Rossini reported on X. Minnesota Vikings defensive coordinator Brian Flores will also meet with the Steelers again this week. Flores was with the Steelers back in 2022. After he was fired by the Dolphins, the ex-New England Patriots defensive coordinator took a position with Pittsburgh as a defensive assistant. However, Flores did not stay with the team for long. Flores was eventually hired by the Vikings the following year, where he held the position of defensive coordinator since then. The Vikings this season have allowed the third least total yards. Weaver, on the other hand, has been the defensive coordinator of the Dolphins since 2024. Prior to being hired by Miami, Weaver has had stints with the Houston Texans as their defensive coordinator and with the Baltimore Ravens as their defensive line coach. The Dolphins allowed the 22nd most yards this season. The Steelers have interviewed a few notable people during their hiring process. While they haven't officially announced who they've interviewed over the last few weeks, some of the names that reporters have mentioned are ex-Cowboys coach Mike McCarthy, Rams DC Chris Shula, Packers DC Jeff Hafley, 49ers OC Clay Kubiak, and Chargers DC Jesse Minter. A lot of NFL pundits are convinced the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to hire a young first-time head coach to replace Mike Tomlin. Most of their candidates fit that description, but one candidate very much goes against that type, Mike McCarthy. NFL Network's Tom Pelissero reported Tuesday that McCarthy will get a shot to prove, despite his age and experience, he's the right man for the job in Pittsburgh. Pelissero also added that McCarthy isn't pursuing other opportunities besides the Steelers. Super Bowl winning coach Mike McCarthy will interview Wednesday with the Steelers, per sources, wrote Pelissero on X. McCarthy was a candidate for the Titans before withdrawing Monday morning and has turned down other inquiries. He's focused on Pittsburgh, where he's considered a strong candidate. The Tennessee Titans have already gone on to hire Robert Saleh as head coach. NFL Network's Ian Rappaport reported the Titans' hiring of Saleh late Monday night. McCarthy, who is from Greenfield, PA, a neighborhood in Pittsburgh, has, by far, the most experience of any candidate to be the next Steelers head coach. He was the Green Bay Packers head coach for 13 years, where he won Super Bowl 45. McCarthy also served as the Dallas Cowboys head coach from 2020 to 24. In 18 seasons with the Packers and Cowboys combined, he posted a 174-112-2 regular season mark and 11-11 postseason record. Steelers linked to Mike McCarthy, with Aaron Rodgers' future uncertain. McCarthy has another tie to the Steelers organization besides growing up in the area and a fan of the black and gold during his youth. In 2000, McCarthy and Steelers general manager Omar Khan were both with the New Orleans Saints. Pundits speculated before Pelissero's report that connection could lead to McCarthy being a candidate in Pittsburgh this offseason. There's another potential factor, Aaron Rodgers. The quarterback played for McCarthy in all 13 seasons the head coach spent with the Packers. The pairing, ironically, defeated the Steelers in the Super Bowl. SNY's Connor Hughes posted on social media Tuesday at the end of his tenure with the New York Jets. Rodgers told him he would like to play for McCarthy again. Sure sounds like McCarthy is headed to the Steelers, Hughes wrote. Wonder if that gets Rodgers back for another year. I remember talking to Aaron Rodgers in the locker room toward the end of his tenure with the #Jets. Mentioned, wherever Mike McCarthy ends up as a potential landing spot. Sure sounds like McCarthy is headed to the #Steelers. Wonder if that gets Rodgers back for another year. Rodgers won his first 2 MVP awards in McCarthy's offense. The quarterback-head coach duo posted a 100-57-1 record with Rodgers as a starter. The cons of Steelers hiring McCarthy as head coach. Most Steelers pundits and fans don't see McCarthy as the best choice to be the franchise's next head coach. If the team elected to hire the Pittsburgh native, there will likely be significant disappointment in the fan base. It's one thing, though, if the Steelers hire McCarthy because he's the best option for the job. It's a whole another thing to hire McCarthy in the hopes that brings back Rodgers for another year. Close Tomlin friend and former All-Pro cornerback Ron Barber said on his podcast the Steelers head coach told him 2025 could be his last season. Knowing that, it makes sense that Tomlin pursued Rodgers last offseason because the head coach wanted a veteran quarterback that gave him the best chance to win in January again. The strategy didn't work. With Tomlin now gone, the Steelers have an opportunity for a clean slate with a new head coach and quarterback. Hiring McCarthy and bringing back Rodgers just delays the inevitable with the Steelers. Eventually, they have to rebuild key parts of the roster to get back to a championship level. But there's no guarantee the Steelers take that approach this offseason. McCarthy, who is 62 years old, will have his opportunity to convince the organization they can win now. The leadership at the very top for the Pittsburgh Steelers will remain the same entering 2026. But with a head coaching change, the team could still be heading toward a revamped roster next season. What that means for veterans, such as linebacker Patrick Queen, remains to be seen. But on Tuesday, Pro Football Focus Bradley Locker named Queen one of his 15 offseason trade candidates. The Steelers won't have Mike Tomlin roaming the sidelines in 2026, bringing forth another landmark change to the NFL. Pittsburgh's new coach will have to sort out quandaries on both sides of the ball, including what to do with Queen, wrote Locker. When the Steelers invested nearly record money in Queen 2 off-seasons ago, the team figured it had made a splash to bolster a good defense. Instead, that $41 million investment hasn't been nearly worth the return. Since 2024, Queen has missed the most tackles in the league, 53, and owns a 48.0 overall PFF grade, the second worst among 18 linebackers to play 2,000 or more snaps in that span. Queen is set to enter the 2026 campaign on an expiring deal. With the Steelers needing better linebacker play, getting his contract off the books would make sense. The Steelers signed Queen to a 3-year, $41 million contract in March 2024. Next season, Queen will have a $10.83 million base salary and approximately $17.2 million cap hit. According to OverTheCap, the Steelers can save $13.33 million against the cap if they trade the linebacker this offseason. The cap savings is the same whether the Steelers would trade Queen before or after June 1st. Why the Steelers could cut ties with LB Patrick Queen. The Steelers have really been looking for stronger linebacker play since Ryan Shazier suffered his horrific spinal injury in December 2017. Signing Queen to the largest free agent contract in team history was just the latest attempt. Locker might have been a little hard on Queen with his assessment of the linebacker's play. At times, Queen showcased his stardom the past 2 years. But he's been inconsistent. The linebacker was anything but inconsistent during his final season with the Baltimore Ravens in 2023. During that season, he posted 133 combined tackles, including 9 for loss on his way to second-team All-Pro honors. In 2024, Queen made the Pro Bowl with the Steelers. He didn't receive any postseason accolades for 2025. In 17 games, Queen made 120 combined tackles, including 8 for loss. He also had 5 quarterback hits, 4 pass defenses, and 1 sack during 2025. Queen has played well enough that a contender with a linebacker need could offer a mid-to-late draft pick for the 26-year-old. With such a deal, the Steelers would create cap room and have an opportunity to select another player that the team's next head coach could then mold to his own liking. Steelers linebacker depth entering 2026. No defender played more snaps for the Steelers the past 2 years than Queen. In fact, he led the team in defensive snaps during 2024 and 2025. So, if the Steelers are serious about moving on from the veteran linebacker, they will have to find a way to replace more than 1,000 defensive snaps. Fellow linebackers Peyton Wilson and Malik Harrison are each under contract for 2026. Another former Ravens linebacker, Harrison missed 6 contests because of injury this past season. Harrison could easily play more next fall. But the Steelers platooned those 2 linebackers. Wilson played in passing situations while Harrison was generally the run stopper on early downs. If the Steelers ship Queen out of town, then Wilson and Harrison may need to play at the same time. The team could turn to 2025 7th-rounder Carson Bruner for a larger role next season. But Bruner only played one defensive snap as a rookie. He seems more suited to continue concentrating on special teams. Re-signing Cole Holcomb is another option. However, Holcomb suffered a serious knee injury in November 2023 and didn't play in 2024. During 2025, he played a career-low 198 defensive snaps. Given his injury, Holcomb might not be the answer to replace Queen either. But the Steelers will have to add someone at linebacker if they're going to shop Queen on the trade market.